So I got drunk at a New Year's party, and I was talking to some friends. I decided I wanted to make an Iceberg video because I love Iceberg videos. And I noticed no one made a McDonald's one, so I'm making a McDonald's one. So I scoured the internet to find out all about every entry on this chart here. It's a pretty extensive one, so we could be here for a while. Who knows? I might just, break it up into bits and pieces, or it might just be one long video. You'll see. I edited the chart just a bit to my liking, and to what I thought people around me knew a little bit more. But other than that, it's pretty much how I found it. But without further ado, this is the McDonald's Iceberg Explained.
This was a documentary that came out in 2004 where we follow the filmmaker and star Morgan Spurlock around for about 30 days as he eats exclusively McDonald's food.
Look at that Coke.
Now, as part of the experiment, he couldn't just, choose a salad every day or oatmeal here and there. No, he had to actually eat 3 times a day, so that's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then he also had to make sure to eat everything on the menu at least once, so he had to eat it all. Over the 30 days, there were noticeable changes to not only his body, but also his mind. He gained 24 pounds. He gained a 13% increase in his body mass, and his cholesterol shot up substantially as well. On top of all that, he also started experiencing mood swings, and his sex drive was kind of leaving him as well. The whole point, the reason he did that, he wanted to gather information for a lawsuit that he was going to try and bring up against him. He did try, but it failed. Essentially, the court said, everybody knows McDonald's makes you fat. If you eat exclusively McDonald's for 30 days, you're gonna get sick. And so they threw that out. But people do use that movie now to this day as a sort of an eye-opening experience. It does get the point across, but just not as widespread as he wanted. If you're into reading, well, apparently there's a comic. That's interesting.
It's back!
I heard, Peter! I heard!
Kids, it's happening! Get your coats! This is what we practiced for!
Yeah! I love you, Dad!
I love you too, sweetheart! None of the past matters!
The McRib is a barbecue sandwich with onions and pickles that makes its rounds once every now and then. McDonald's does a pretty good job of overhyping it, but, it's whatever. It came out in 1981, and it was a regular menu item up until about 2005, where it started doing the whole will they, won't they act. People are always excited for the return, and, when it makes news that it's coming back, there's this buzz. Everyone's like, oh, McRib's coming back, McRib's coming back. They made a website, and they went as far as to make a website called McRib Locator. I'll throw that up right now. I think everyone knows about the hype. We've heard about it, even if we have never had the sandwich before. Sometimes it shows up in, cartoons, like Family Guy's done one, The Simpsons have done one, stuff like that. It's the McRib.
Tis the first screen of spring. Celebrate with Minty Shamrock Shakes and new Minty Shamrock Sundays right now at McDonald's.
Nobody celebrates the season like we can. Mint Shamrock Shakes and Sundays make it feel so grand.
Minty Frosty Fix Shamrock Shakes and new Shamrock Sundays with mint-flavored topping get everybody in the spirit.
Your Irish eyes are smiling no matter who you are. Nobody can do it like McDonald's can.
This is the green milkshake that McDonald's releases every year. It's St. Patrick's Day celebration. What I didn't know until I actually started researching for this was that originally the Shamrock Shake was this lemon-lime flavored deal. So that's very different from the mint we have today. Let's see. And they used this guy here to market it. Uncle Old Grimacy. Now there's a chocolate Shamrock Shake and I think an Oreo one. Yeah, the Shamrock Shake. 9 times out of 10, when you want to get an ice cream cone at McDonald's or McFlurry or even a milkshake, you can't because the machine is broken. That's the meme, of course, but it goes a little bit deeper than that. We'll be seeing this back up on the Iceberg. I looked this one up so that you guys didn't have to. Burger stools refer to these stools that used to be found all over the place, but now can only be found on sites like eBay and r/crackhead Craigslist. It's a cheeseburger with eyes. Kinda cute, kinda creepy, and if I remember correctly, they swiveled as well. Most people watching this probably know about this because crazy shit that happened a few years ago, revolving around the sauce returning to McDonald's after getting a shout out in Rick and Morty.
I want Szechuan sauce. Where's my Szechuan sauce?
The sauce is a savory, sweet profile with hints of soy, garlic, ginger, and mild vinegar notes, as McDonald's describes it anyway. It first came out in 1998 to promote Milan, along with some cool little toys for the Happy Meals. I found these. Like I said before, on April 1st, 2017, the premiere episode of its third season, which had Rick running amok in his inner Shoney's before escaping and going out on some crazed rant about the Szechuan sauce. This is the internet, and the internet does what it does, so Szechuan sauce became a thing overnight. McDonald's would tweet this out, and then send Justin Roiland a 4-pound bottle of the sauce.
McNugget, tipping sauce, Szechuan sauce, Morty. That's what's gonna take us all the way to the end, Morty. 9 more seasons, Morty. 9 more seasons until I get that dipping Szechuan sauce. For 97 more years, Morty. I want that McNugget sauce, Morty.
McDonald's Monopoly was a game McDonald's used to run where, with the purchase of a fry or a drink or whatever, you'd get these little pull-off pieces that had rewards from instant win, small food items, to actual cash prizes for collecting combinations of certain pieces. They first introduced in 1987 and have used a few different names like Money Monopoly or my personal favorite, Win, but they're all essentially the same game. This is the sauce that goes on the Big Mac and, if you know what you're doing, the McDouble. There are lots of recipes online that claim to be the most authentic, while some swear it's just Thousand Island. Who knows? Well, this guy apparently. He says he's a former McDonald's chef, and this is definitely the recipe. I don't know, take it with a grain of salt. This one isn't really exclusive to McDonald's, but it definitely happens there plenty. There's not much to say about this, so here are some clips I found.
Really? Is your life really that boring that you have nothing better to do? How old are you? 3, obviously. Go get a job or something.
Yeah, and a number 5 too, please.
Number 4 medium, what is number 5? No, I don't want a number 5.
No, extra fries, not a number 5.
Fries?
Yes.
Usually said as the person in front of you looks at the menu for 3 minutes before ordering the same thing they always get. It's so prevalent that you've definitely seen a meme or two about it, and McDonald's themselves even thought it was pretty funny.
McDonald's, may I take your order?
Hi, can I get a...
Get into McDonald's.
Ooh, can I get a...
Yeah, can I get a...
Go, Bubba, go!
Pick me! No, pick me!
Hey, can I get a...
10-piece chicken McNuggets.
And what sauce would you like with that?
This refers to the 2016 film of the same name that shows a dramatized version of the story of how Ray Kroc, played by Michael Keaton in the film, takes over a small restaurant from 2 brothers and turns it into the international multi-million-dollar company that we're talking about today. I've seen it, it's pretty good. To sum it up, short and sweet, we have Ray Kroc, traveling milkshake machine salesman, comes across a small but super efficient restaurant run by the McDonald's brothers. He sees an immediate opportunity and is eventually able to convince them to franchise, but not without writing up a super one-sided contract for them to sign. Oh yeah, this wasn't a good guy, but, he was an efficient guy. So he starts expanding across the country, changing the menu, the branding, and eventually the name of the company. He puts the two brothers through the absolute ringer before breaking them down enough to finally allow him to buy them out of the company, giving them a pretty decent amount of money but no royalties, and they're done with the company now. Watch it. This is my first Iceberg, so if it's just like a matter of me needing to do better research, I'll definitely improve on that. But the only thing that I found for this one is Pharrell Williams' Happy, which, which wasn't made for or in collaboration with McDonald's in any way, but Pharrell has been fired from McDonald's 3 times, apparently, and this video exists.
Let's eat, baby. Let's eat. Let's eat. Let's eat. I'm in Paris. I'm gonna miss my flight. And I want a Big Mac, filet of fish, quarter pound of French fry, icy coke, egg shake, Sundays and apple pie. Big Mac, filet of fish, quarter pound of French fry, icy coke, milkshake, Sundays and apple pie. Big Mac, filet of fish, quarter pound of French fry, icy coke, milkshake, Sundays and come on, say it. Apple pie.
Just breakfast.
Just breakfast. Big Mac, filet of fish, quarter pound of French fry, icy coke, milkshake, Sundays. Hey, where you going? She's going to call the police. Wait, what are we doing? What are we doing?
So yeah, I don't see how Happy really ties into anything, but we got that out of it, at least. This refers to the fact that different McDonald's around the world have unique items on their menu. Some of the ones that stand out to me from this BuzzFeed list are Sweden's jalapeno cheese bites, South Korea's bulgogi burger, and Germany's avocado chili cheese burger. Because just look at it. Anyway, you can find all kinds of videos of people reviewing these items, and lots of people travel to different countries just to try them. I'd do that myself, money permitting.
Rock and roll McDonald's! Rock and roll McDonald's! Rock and roll McDonald's! Rock and roll McDonald's!
I think this is a good spot on this Iceberg for this one because I was sure that I didn't know anything about this, but then as soon as I heard it, I was like, oh yeah, I instantly remembered. It's a song by Wesley Willis where he states such facts as,
A Big Mac has 26 grams of fat.
and of course,
McDonald's hamburgers are the worst. They are worse than Burger King.
this refers to the infamous legal case Liebig versus McDonald's, where 79-year-old Stella Liebig filed suit against McDonald's after she spilled a cup of exceptionally hot coffee on herself in an Albuquerque drive-thru. It turns out that the coffee she was served was anywhere between 180 and 190 degrees, hot enough to cause scalding and even skin fusing in some very unfortunate areas. She was able to win $2.86 million in damages, but not before she was dragged through a long and very public lawsuit where people called her unreasonable, overly litigious, and other things like that. Like, they say, oh, it's coffee, of course it's hot, but let's be real, that coffee was hot. Earlier on in the Iceberg, I mentioned Pharrell Williams having been fired from McDonald's 3 times in the past, but he's not the only celebrity who's worked for McDonald's in the past. I found some of these around. Apparently, they've also worked at McDonald's. Apparently, something like 70% of Americans at some point work at McDonald's. I'll have to fact check that figure, but that's what I heard.
This one just refers to the fact that many people around the world in different places, they all have different ways of referring to McDonald's. I actually remember thinking people were talking about a different place when I was young. People would say Mickey D's, and it took me a little while to register they meant, oh, McDonald's, because it just sounds different. I know that in France, they'll call it McDo. In Australia, they'll call it Macca's. We'll see something later on about Australian McDonald's. But that's just what this is. The Big and Tasty is basically McDonald's response to the Whopper, and something I always forget about. It's a quarter-pound patty with ketchup, mayo, onions, lettuce, pickle, and tomato, which, now that I say the ingredients out loud, and now that I kind of look at it, it's basically just a quarter-pounder deluxe. Well, they sell it as the Big and Tasty outside of the US, and not everybody knows about it, so here it goes. These guys here. You might have even seen them in some Mandela Effect videos, but I assure you, they were real. They just went the way of the rest of the fun, kid-oriented aesthetic of the restaurant. Gone with the play places and gone with the McDonald's parties, you know. They were Nintendo 64s, case and housings featuring the McDonald Land characters, 2 controllers per side. In my research, I found that the games didn't seem to be standardized across the board, with Reddit user TacoFlix here saying that their McDonald's had Majora's Mask. Most remember games like Mario Kart, Excite Bike, and games like that, and some people even remember having GameCubes instead of Nintendo 64s. Mac and Me is a pretty blatant ripoff of a movie that I'm sure is pretty obvious right now. It's here on this iceberg because of a super heavy McDonald's product placement all throughout. Well, I don't know, I say product placement, but this straight up happened. Basically, you've got this family of aliens walking around on this dry planet. They're dying of dehydration, and it's meant to be sad, but, look at this. NASA come through to collect some samples, and, well, I guess they do. We find out that they can do this. Then the baby runs off and hides in this family's minivan. Mom is Janet, older brother is Michael, and the kid in the backseat is Eric. No, not that kid. Father just died. So they're moving to Los Angeles. I, too, make poor decisions when I'm grieving. Look, seriously, if you've seen E.T., then you've seen this. So I'm just gonna play this scene again. McDonald's Coke is different, yes, but it's not really a formula per se. It's just these special tanks that the syrup is stored in. Yeah, in restaurants, here's a little behind the scenes, I guess, if you didn't know. In restaurants, the soda's actually just these bags of syrup that get pumped through these tubes into a machine where it mixes with seltzer. So for the Coke, McDonald's has a special deal with Coca-Cola where they'll get the Coke in this stainless steel tank that protects it from light, changes in temperature, and all that. That way, it's always pristine. Not every McDonald's has them, but, a lot of them do. The Hamburglar redesign refers to McDonald's decision in 2015 to reintroduce the Hamburglar as a real man. This real man, in fact.
When the clock strikes 6:30, babe, time to head for golden lights. It's a good time for the great taste dinner at McDonald's. It's Mac tonight. Come on, make it Mac tonight.
Mac Tonight was designed for a local ad campaign in California. He was created to increase business in the restaurant after 4 p.m. The character is a gigantic crescent moon with a smile and some stylish shades. He wears a few different outfits depending on the situation, but all based on the sort of 1950s aesthetic. Think Max Headroom. The campaign spread across the US West Coast from 1986 to 1987 and was actually doing really well. So well, actually, that sales increased over 10%, and when the Mac Tonight mascot visited a restaurant in LA, 1,500 people came down to see him. So despite feeling like they were too ingrained in the Western US, they decided to air Mac Tonight ads nationwide, and they loved it too. He would attract a crowd of 1,000 people during a visit to Boca Raton McDonald's, and McDonald's would release Mac Tonight Happy Meals. During the character's 3-year run in over 27 commercials, AdWatch did a survey, and it turns out that with Mac Tonight around, twice the amount of customers recall McDonald's ads from the previous survey, and McDonald's garnered the most brand recognition since the new Coke in 1985. Mac Tonight did come back to a few Southeast Asian countries for a while, where they had... And I'm finished. This is something straight out of the Liminal Spaces subreddit. Leaps and Bounds was basically the McDonald's play place, but on its own. Bigger and better, even including arcade-style games with tickets and prizes. Parents could take their kids there for parties, pizza, cake, all that. It opened up in 1991 and stood on its own until 1995, where it was merged into what would eventually become part of Chuck E. Cheese. Does McDonald's use pink slime in burgers or beef treated with ammonia? According to McDonald's, nope. But it's definitely been a point of controversy. According to their own word, McDonald's did in the past use this stuff, but haven't since early 2011, so they've addressed it at least. Figured this would be higher, but it's not. McNuggets come in 4 distinct shapes: bone, boot, bell, and ball. Why though? Apparently to ensure even cooking. And the reason for 4 shapes, well, 3 would have been too few, 5 would have been too wacky. That's what they said. Oh, and McDonald's has asked before, and it turns out that people have a favorite nugget shape. Yeah. Here's the chart. Favorite nugget shape. This is a derogatory phrase for a low-paying, dead-end job that takes no skill, usually referring not only to McDonald's itself, but all jobs like that. I mean, I've heard it before, but I guess the reason is as low as it is that nobody says stuff like that anymore, I guess. I think too many people are working at McJobs for it to feel like a stab or something. If you say, oh, go back to your McJob, haha. Well, you probably work a McJob too, so I don't know. Watch this with me.
By the time kids are able to speak, most of them can say McDonald's.
I'm going to show you some pictures, and I want you to tell me who they are.
Okay.
Who's that? You don't know?
I don't know. George W. Bush?
No, that's a good guess, though. Who's that?
McDonald. Ronald McDonald.
Who is it?
McDonald.
What does he do?
He was helping people at the cancer district. He works at McDonald's. I love the pancakes and sausage. He brings every of his friends to McDonald's for a Happy Meal.
Where have you seen him?
On television, on the commercials. He's the character that made McDonald's. And he does a lot of funny stuff on TV.
I've heard this one around. McDonald's introduced a kale salad to some of its menus that shocked people who are curious enough to look into it, because even without taking the dressing into account, the nutrition facts put the salad at 730 calories, while the double Big Mac, yes, that's the double, is only 680. On top of that, it also has salt in it, just generally making it more unhealthy. The oatmeal, though, doesn't seem to be hated for being unhealthy, as much as it's just not really a substantial breakfast. There's no real protein content, and it's pretty low in calories, so it's not going to do much for energy throughout the day. Tastes good, though, and I definitely never stole any from work to eat for my weekend breakfast at home. And definitely not with some added brown sugar. Never. a matter of time before we saw Japan on this iceberg, and it's weird as you might expect. I don't like it, but these are the hamburger straws. An Instagram trend where, for lack of any free hands, one would just impale their sandwich on the straw and slide it down to sit on top of the cup, because of course one would. The McPizza is literally a pizza that used to be pretty widely available. Introduced in the 80s and around until about 2000. Interestingly, it was discontinued not because people didn't like it or anything, it just took too long to prepare, taking anywhere from 11 to 16 minutes to make. It just didn't really vibe with the whole fast food thing, so they axed it. There's still one McDonald's in Orlando that sells it though, so think about that. So think of McDonald's Corporation, not McDonald's the restaurant. That corporation has dipped its toes into other industries than fast food, mainly food related, but some companies that McDonald's Corporation has or has had ownership are Chipotle, Donato's Pizza, and Boston Market. Maurice and Richard McDonald are the original McDonald's brothers, the one we talked about in the earlier entry on the founder. They created their restaurant in 1940, and their speedy service system set the standard for what fast food is today. Both brothers are dead, with Maurice dying of heart failure in 1971 and Richard going the same way in 1998. Their first restaurant is a museum now, and you can find it here. Speedy was a mascot before Ronald McDonald's came into the picture. He was being used even before the iconic Golden Arches, so he's been around a while. Speedy was a man dressed in your standard chef uniform, complete with hat and hamburger head. He was used from 1962 to 1967 and never appeared in any commercials, but did get a Funko Pop as part of a 40th anniversary in 2017. Epic Mealtime is a popular Canadian YouTube channel founded by Harley Morenstein, Sterling Toth, Alex Peralt, David Hoff, Josh Elkin, and Amir Atari. That's a lot of fucking founders. Anyway, the channel focuses on making insane food combinations that require a whole team of people to cook and to eat as well. The reason they're on this McDonald's iceberg is because of their heavy use of McDonald's food. The reason they're on a McDonald's iceberg is because of their heavy use of McDonald's food in their creation, especially a little earlier on in the channel. I actually used to watch these guys a lot. I even made this thing once. I called it my Epic Mealtime inspired pizza bite. This entry refers to what are basically YouTube poops of Japanese McDonald's commercials featuring Ronald McDonald. They're called MAD or MAD video remixes, and they use chopped and rearranged clips, but focus a little more on word splicing rather than pitch shifting. About Ranranru specifically, between 2004 and 2007, Japan broadcast a series of shorts called Ronald Rumors, where the Japanese version of Ronald McDonald, Donald McDonald, would answer questions about himself, ending the videos with the catchphrase Ranranru. Here is a bit of the very first Ranranru edit. I was honestly sure I was misremembering the sandwich, but no, it was a thing. It was really good too. The steak, egg, and cheese bagel was, well, a buttered bagel with steak patty, folded egg, and American cheese. The sandwich was first introduced in 2002, where it stayed for a little while, but ultimately low sales and menu simplifications did away with it. They do seem to be available in certain states though, so luckily they're not completely gone, but I definitely need one now. The hula burger was Ray Kroc's answer to the drop in sales when Catholics observing Lent would stop eating meat on Fridays. It was a slice of grilled pineapple with cheese on a bun. They went with the filet of fish, which was a much better idea. But why did they do that? And with that, you've made it to the end of the video. Now, not the end of the iceberg, as you can see there's a lot more to go with that, but I'm gonna go ahead and cut it here. That's been the first 3 tiers. I've got a lot more research to do. I'll release a new video with more tiers later on, and then eventually, after the whole thing has been released, I'm actually going to go ahead and recompile all the clips. I'm going to add in new clips. I'm going to re-record ones that I hate, because trust me, there are some. And then I'm going to release a whole 3-hour shebang. It's going to be the comprehensive McDonald's Iceberg explained. Keep an eye out for that, but don't hold your breath, because it will happen, but I just don't have a timeline. I'm not established yet or anything like that, but I'm actually having a really good time working on it. So I'm gonna keep on doing it, and then I'm gonna make another one. Thanks for watching.